All right, hello everyone. Let's make sure the live stream is up and running. And well, it says it is, but I don't see the imagery. My goodness, where is it? Well, there it is. It's kicking in. Okay, hey, there we are. We're up and running. Sorry for the delay there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the International Kriegsspiel Society. I'm making a video because a lot of you are joining us. A lot of you come from the wargaming community, the miniatures community, the roleplay community, or maybe you're just kind of interested. Maybe you're just interested in Napoleonic warfare or the Civil War or just wargaming in general, and you're not sure what to do with Kriegsspiel. You're not sure how to get your start. Well, this video is for you, and in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know in order to play a game with the International Kriegsspiel Society. I'm going to teach you how to join the group, teach you how to find a game with us. I'm going to teach you how to set up your map, your module, the things that you need. I'm going to talk to you about what we go through while we play a game, how to give your orders, all of this stuff. The video could get to be a little long. I'll try not to ramble. I'll try to be precise and to the point, but that's what you're going to get in this video. As well as what to do if you have a problem or a question or anything like that. We'll get into all of those things so that by the end of this video, you'll have the confidence when you join the International Kriegsspiel Society, or what we also call the IKS. You'll have the confidence to just hop into a game and start playing. So that's my goal. Let's see if we make it. Just so you know, we have a website. Okay, the website is kriegsspiel.org. We also have a Patreon, and you can support us here. It's called Coffee, Kegs, and Kriegsspiel. It's patreon.com/Kriegsspiel, and the link to that should be in the comments of the video. But I don't want to get too much into that right now. Right now, we're going to get down to business, okay, and how to join. So, most of you will be invited to the community through a Discord link, and you'll be joining up our Discord. And let me open up the Discord and see it's opening here or over here. And let me go here. And this here is I think this should be the welcome screen that you should see. There it is. Okay, so what's going to happen is you can join us in a different way. You can join here through the website, click this Discord link, or maybe you are clicking a Discord link in another channel, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to come here to the Discord, and you're going to land, and you're going to see our welcome page. And here we kind of have our purpose, if you will. It's kind of like a mission statement, whatever. We go briefly into some of our rules and so on here, and you should read this and click agree or the little button down here, and that tells us that you read this and you understand the rules and blah, blah, blah. The next thing that you'll do is you'll go here to the channel called General. General is where you want to go, and here's where we just kind of talk about whatever it is we're going to talk about and post whatever. But what you want to do in here is you want to post kind of a hello or something. Say, hi, I'm here. What can I do? Okay, so here today we have a fellow named Victor came in, and Victor said, hello everyone, my name is Victor. I am glad to join you. And then we all say, hey, welcome, Victor, and so on. And there's also, it's like any online forum, there's one or more conversations going on. But Victor's popping in here in between, and people are saying hello, and so on, okay? So you're going to see that, and we'll welcome you, and we'll take any questions that you might possibly have. So that's how you join. That's actually quite straightforward, quite simple. That is how you join. And of course, part of joining too is you'll have access to the website. In fact, you don't have to join us to get access to the website. Anyone can use the website, and the website contains all the really cool stuff that you're going to need to learn more about Kriegsspiel. We have a resources page where we have rule sets and such, although we'll talk about the rules in a minute. You don't want to worry about rules right now. And I know that you're very excited to play Kriegsspiel, but the rules are going to mislead you. They're going to take you in a walk down a darkened lane and you're not going to come out. So don't worry about rules right now or the books. Instead, what you'll want to do is you want to join the International Kriegsspiel Society. We do have maps. There's pieces and tools and such available for people who are interested in setting up physical games. Here's one of our physical games that we played in Los Angeles one time. This is the post-battle briefing, and there's all kinds of cool things here that you can access. You can, of course, contact us. You can send a dispatch. And send dispatch means that you can either contact me with your name and email, you can ask a question, whatever it may be, give feedback. You can also contact us anonymously here in this box. You can tell me what you think of me. You can say, hey, your website looks awful. I don't think it's awful. I think it's beautiful. But you can have whatever opinion. You can express it to me anonymously. I have no way of knowing who's sending me these awful messages, but I'll get them and I'll read them. And I have a rule. I'm not allowed to be offended if it's true. So if you do have a negative experience in the group, or you have some constructive criticism, or maybe you want to say nice things, whatever it may be, I have a rule. You can't get offended if it's true, though. Just put it in here. I'll get the feedback, and I will take it under advisement or consideration, sometimes make changes if they need to be made. We do have an events calendar, and this is actually new. We've just incorporated this into our website, so it's not too filled out, but these are our big events that we have. And we will generally fill it out with more stuff. Just so you know, we do have events every Saturday. Every Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, we have what's called the Open Saturday Game. And I don't see them all on here, but again, we still have to populate the calendar. In addition to the Open Saturday games, we also have games all the time, just kind of whenever. Again, hop into General, ask about playing a game, and usually there'll be enough people who will say, oh, hey, I want to play, let me in. Can I play? And maybe there'll be somebody with experience who will be willing to umpire a game, and the next thing you know, you could be off and running. Okay? We do have some other things here. We have a little store where you can buy International Kriegsspiel Society merchandise. I don't want to get into this right now, but it's here. Just, there it is. But we're not going to get into that. All right, let's get back on track here and go back to our Discord. That's our Tabletop Simulator. Where is the Discord? Let's pull that up. Okay, so there you are. So you get in here, you've introduced yourself, you said, I want to play a game. What do I have to do? And what you're going to do is you're going to pop into this room here. You're going to look for the lobby, and you're going to connect to the lobby. And in the lobby is where you're going to wait for the game to start. And there's going to be other people who will come in there. I'm going to mute myself and everything. I don't want anybody to hop in there seeing I'm online and try to chat with me. But you hop into the lobby and you hang out there. Everyone will congregate there over the next several minutes or so. And then an umpire will kind of take control of the situation and give you directions. Here's what you have to do next. What they will probably do is they will send you down, and you see here I'm scrolling down through the list of stuff. They'll send you to one of these channels, blue or red. And our sides are generally blue or red. Even if you're playing like American Civil War and you're playing Union and Confederate, you'll be assigned to blue or red. And you'll come down here to the room that they tell you. You'll have a voice channel. Here's Blue One voice channel. And you'll also have a text channel. And you'll notice there's already content in there. That's because we don't really delete it. We just kind of keep reusing the same channel over and over. But you'll see that there's, previous content in here from previous events, previous battles. And you can see here that they have screenshots going in and such from earlier games. You see the screenshots. You see that the pieces can look different from game to game. It depends on the module that you're using. But don't worry about it. It's all good. So you will see that there are some variations in the pieces and the way things look, but don't worry about that, okay? But there you have it. So this is obviously a Civil War scenario that they played, okay? Now, in addition to having the Discord, what you're also going to need is you're going to need Tabletop Simulator. Do you absolutely positively need Tabletop Simulator? The answer is no. You do not absolutely positively have to have Tabletop. However, we do want you to have Tabletop because it's a little easier to use, and I think it's a nicer experience with it. You can play with any kind of photo software or something where you have a map. You can even play physically. You can print out a map and have it right there on your desk. And you can have little pieces, or you can get a pen and you can mark. There's all these things that you can do. But you really do want to have a copy of the map. You have to have a copy of the map. Now, if you have Tabletop Simulator, not only will you get a copy of the map, but you'll get all of these pieces and everything that's in here all in one package. The modules do not cost anything. They're free. You pay Tabletop Simulator. Generally speaking, unless it's on sale, it's running at present about $20 US for the program. You get it on Steam, although I think you can buy a standalone version. I think it's the same price, but I'm not 100% sure. But what I suggest you do is download and install Steam on your computer if you don't have it. If you do have it, then you're all set. Buy Tabletop Simulator on Steam, then you can access the modules on Steam, and that's because we post the modules in there. So let me go ahead. Let me see if I can open up my Steam account here. And let me go to Tabletop. And let me show you in the workshop where you will find, here on the Steam workshop, the modules. Nope, that's the wrong thing to click. It's down here. Visit the workshop. And then you go here and let's see here. Let's just take a look at the files I've posted. But here are our Kriegsspiel modules. And you just go here and you click on the one that they tell you to click on, or they will give you a link to a module. But the bottom line is you get your module, you click it, you open up Tabletop Simulator, you load the module in, and it's going to look something like this. Okay? Something like this. It'll vary, but it will look more or less roughly like this. You'll have a table, there'll be various things around, but the important thing for you is that there will be pieces. Okay. So now you have joined the IKS. Now you have found a game. Now you have the module. Now it's time to set up. So what's going to happen is your umpire or your assistant umpire, your umpire might have a helper who works directly with you. But somebody, an umpire, which is a person who's running the game, is going to be responsible for taking care of you. And that person is going to give you what's called your order of battle. Okay? And your order of battle is going to be the pieces that are under your command. So let's just say this time in your order of battle, you're commanding the guard division, and it's one brigade here in this case. But let's say, whatever. These pieces can represent different things based on the scale. Usually, when we play games, we play at the division level, meaning most players are division commanders, but they can sometimes be brigade commanders. No big deal, it's just as much fun. Some players can be corps commanders and even army commanders, depending on the depth and complexity and the length of the game. But in this case, let's just say you are a brigade commander, even though this says guard division. We're just going to say you're commanding a brigade of guard infantry and an artillery battery, and of course you have your supply train. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that's what you got. And what your umpire is going to tell you is you come in right here. And they may even show you how your pieces look on the board. They're going to give you a screenshot in Discord. Now I'll show you what that looks like real quick. Let me go back to Discord. And let me show you what it looks like when you get your order of battle posted to you in Discord. It looks like this. You see here? Here, Felix, who is an umpire, gave Peter, the player in this game, the order of battle. Gave him a screenshot. So Peter knows I need 1st Division Commander Avatar. That's what we call this. It's a marker and it represents you, the commander. It's your avatar on the map. Peter knows he needs these 4 blocks marked with 1. These represent half battalions or regiments or brigades, depending on the scale that you're playing at. In this case, these are probably battalions. And he needs 4 number 2 battalions. And they're the same, except they're 2 different divisions, or 2 different units, I should say. I don't want to use the word divisions because that'll confuse people. But you have like 1 brigade and you have 2nd brigade is really what you have. And then he has 2 batteries. The arrows mean that the battery is limbered, not unlimbered. Although generally, oh, you know what? That could be the facing on the battery. That could be the facing. And then, of course, you have the supply train, right? You don't need to worry about what all that means. And sorry about the dogs going crazy in the background. What do you do when you have a family, right? Let's see here. Let's see. Here's another one. Here's another order of battle. And so you see here's one brigade, another brigade, and another brigade. Even though it says division and company, these are actually brigades. They're just using different terms for the designation. So you see that there. Okay? All right, so let's talk about it. Here's another order of battle for another game. Again, you'll get this picture and it will tell you which of the pieces you need to pull out or duplicate, because in Tabletop Simulator you can actually duplicate pieces to create the force that is under your command. Okay, let's go back to Tabletop Simulator. Here it is. Okay, and now the umpire might tell you where you're coming in, or they might show you where to position your pieces. So here I'm positioning the pieces in such a way as to indicate that this unit is coming on the map. It is off the map to begin with, but they are coming on from off map. Okay? And that might be how I start the battle. So the umpire is going to give you your order of battle. They're going to tell you, hey, here's where you're at, here's where you're coming in, or whatever that may be. They're going to tell you where you should be on the map. And you will set up your personal map just like this. Now, your map on Tabletop Simulator or your desktop or whatever is your own personal map. Nobody's going to touch your map. What the umpire is going to do is they are going to give you an update. They are going to tell you, you have moved here. This is what you see. This is what's happening. They may give you a screenshot. Screenshots are pretty common. Screenshots are not required by any kind of a rule. In fact, screenshots are a generosity when playing Kriegsspiel. However, in our organization, it appears, just from looking at the Discord, that players or umpires have become very accustomed to giving screenshots to players, and that's okay. That's just a style. Different umpires will have different styles of running the game, different systems and such, and that's okay. It's all Kriegsspiel. Don't panic, don't worry, but you may or may not get screenshots depending on who your umpire is, who's running the game. But the screenshots are a luxury when you get them, I feel. And they tell you exactly where your pieces are and what's going on. So it's kind of cool to see them. It's fun. And it kind of puts the game on easy mode. But that is not always the case. But yes, if you get them, that's always nice. All right? So here's a screenshot I put into a game that I umpired. So here you have it. And this here shows the players. This is what's on the umpire's map. And you need to dress up your map or set your map so it matches this picture. And if your picture matches the umpire picture, then you have a pretty accurate view of what's going on. Not always the case, however. Okay? So what's going to happen is your umpire is going to give you a briefing along with here's where all your pieces are and so on. And they're going to tell you here's what your objective is. Here's the backstory, anything that you need to know. They might tell you about the weather. They might say that the ground is muddy, so don't expect that the troops are going to march fast. They're going to be marching more slowly. They could tell you whatever, right? But that is the general overall scenario or situation. Now, in most cases, after the umpire gives you a briefing, you will be allowed to confer with the fellow players in your team. In fact, you might even be marching together with them. But you will be allowed to speak for at least 5 minutes and sometimes much longer with all the other players in your team, and you'll be able to come up with a plan of action. What's our plan going to be? Where are you going to march to? Where are you going to march to? Okay, I'm going to march here, and I'm going to do this. And you might even go so far as to draw it out on the map. So that happens. You know, people do that. And let me set some opacity there. There you go. So you might say, I'm going to march this way, this way, this way, and come down here, and I'm going to occupy this position here. Whatever it may be, right? That can totally be done. That's done all the time. And you'll have a plan of battle. And of course, like most plans of battle, they won't survive first contact with the enemy. But you can absolutely make a plan for how you want to get to where you want to get, whatever you're going to do. Okay, so you make a plan. All right, and then it's time to order your troops. So our turn cycle, or what I call the cadence, it follows a cadence, if you will. I call it a cadence. Other people might call it a turn cycle or whatever it may be. But how it customarily runs is this. The umpire comes to you. The umpire comes to you and gives you a report. And they say, it is 0600 hours on October 25th, and it is, what are your initial orders? Okay, and they'll put the little time, they will probably only tell you the time if you ask, or they will tell you the time automatically when they pop in your channel, in your voice channel, and they will tell you, and they will say, Marshall, the time is now 6 a.m. on October 25th. What are your orders? And I will say, okay, dear umpire, I want my troops to march this way. I might even take a screenshot of this and post a screenshot in my chat channel on Discord so that the umpire sees that. And the umpire says, okay, there's no ambiguity. I know that Marshall wants to march his brigade this way, and then he wants to turn off and march this way, and eventually he wants to defend this location here. Okay, that's fine, whatever. And that's what the umpire will begin to do. The umpire will begin to carry out your orders. Okay. Now, let's finish talking about the turn cycle before I talk about some of these other things you might be asking about. But we're going to get there. We're going to talk about this grid in particular. So what will happen is the umpire will say, they'll go back to the umpire map and they will move all these pieces that are on the master map. And they will come back and they will give you a report. And they will say, okay, the time is now 6:30 or 6:15. 15 minutes have elapsed. And now your pieces have moved 2 squares. 1 square, 2 squares of distance. Okay? They'll tell you they've moved that far. They may or may not send you a screenshot. If they are feeling generous, they will. And then they will ask if you have any new orders. If they're really generous, they will also give you time to think and react to what has happened. But that is not always necessary either. Depending on how competitive the scenario is and who's running it, they might only give you seconds to make a decision. But generally speaking, in the IKS, because we're playing for good times and fun, we're very nice and relaxed about it, and you have plenty of time to think and make a decision. And by plenty of time, take as much time as you like, up to 5 whole minutes even. Okay? By that time, however, you better be ready with your next order. Now, in this case, the umpire has reported nothing to me out of the ordinary. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. I don't even know if I was there, and if I am there, I'm probably asleep. So, orders are to continue as originally directed. So that's what I'm going to tell everybody for my second turn. The umpire will go back to the master map. They will move the pieces on the master map, and then they will come back at 6:30 turn, and they will give me a report. Oh, look, at 6:30. Okay, here's your report, Marshall. You have moved another 2 squares, and you still don't see anything. Nothing is different. Okay, thank you. All right, and so I move on my map as the player, on my player map, I move the pieces up a little bit further, okay? All right, and that just goes until something happens, and then when something happens, I can change my orders. Now, another way to give orders is by text. Orders are commonly given by text. In fact, that is technically Kriegsspiel standard. In fact, if we really, really want to get strict about it, the entire purpose of Kriegsspiel is to act as an exercise in writing orders. Theoretically, you should never receive a screenshot. You should only receive a verbal report from your umpire or a written report from your umpire to which you will respond in writing. Theoretically, if you're playing like old school Kriegsspiel rules, that's what you're going to run into. Now, we don't play by old school Kriegsspiel rules, and the reason is because old school Kriegsspiel is not really a game, despite the name. It's actually a military training exercise intended to teach officers the art of command. So it wasn't necessarily designed to be playable as a game. It was not designed to be fast or efficient or even fun. What we have done is we have taken, and it's not just us, this applies to the Army University, who also still plays Kriegsspiel to this day, and other people who play Kriegsspiel as a kind of a professional hobby, if you will, and so on. We've taken the essential elements of the game and distilled them down into something that is a little bit more playable and something that moves a little bit more efficiently. And we can get into all of this historic stuff later. I just want you to know that yes, you're playing an honest to goodness, authentic, legitimate Kriegsspiel, and that the essential elements of Kriegsspiel are preserved for your fun and edification. So that's happening. So don't worry about that. But now let's get in here and talk about this. How do you give your orders? Let me see if there is a pin. No, it's not pinned here. When you give orders, I was going to write them here. But let's just do this here. Let's just add some orders to red 4 here. Let's say red 4, I have the guard brigade, right? So I'm going to issue a written order. Move southwest and deploy into line. And maybe I actually want a more precise location. So I'm just making up an order. So let's say I want to move down here and I want to move into a line. For whatever reason, I want my troops to go into line formation right here next to Rametsburg, whatever it may be. Rametsburg and Braunhof. Okay, so I'm going to articulate that in my order. Okay, so I come back to Discord and I say deploy into line between. You can tell I'm a great typer. Ramsburg and what was it? Braunhouse or something like that. Or all right, let's go back to Discord. Okay, and I hit enter. And so what this does is this tells, actually what I should have done is put the time. So let's see here. Let's do this. I like to bold these just so that they pop out a little bit. And the time I might add the time to it, so 6:45. I want the guard brigade to move southwest and deploy into line between those two towns. I even misspelled that one, but we'll let that go for now. Okay, so what's going to happen is as an umpire, I read those orders. I'm going to move the piece. I know he wants to deploy into line. Now this would actually probably take 2 turns to execute. But you know, we'll do it like this, or maybe we want to do a double line formation so that we fit in there. So let's say we ordered a double line formation. That's like that, and the artillery is going to post up here in the middle, perhaps, or maybe they go off to the side or whatever. And the supply train will come up here, and this entire movement would actually probably take about 30 minutes to execute. But here it is. Now we're formed up just as we have ordered our units to form up. Okay? All right. So that's how we give orders. And again, what will happen is the umpire will, you know, give you updates, and the umpire might say, "Oh, look, you know, here's the enemy, and there's going to be a battle, and what do you want to do?" and stuff like that. And then they'll roll the dice, and there's a whole system for rolling the dice. And you don't have to worry about that system now, but they'll roll the dice and say, "Oh no, you took a disruption hit or whatever," and they apply the results. Okay, now you'll hear about different kinds of hits and things in the game depending on the system, but generally you'll hear what's called disruption or. Okay, sorry, my headset tends to clonk out after 30 minutes for some reason. Okay, so you'll hear about disruption, not usually suppression unless it's a more modern scenario. Disruption technically means anything bad that happens to a unit that decreases its combat efficiency. It can involve losses or men being wounded, or it can involve the formation being kind of deranged, meaning the men aren't quite in an effective line. It can mean reduced ammunition. It can mean that the men are kind of nervous or panicked. It can mean anything bad that happens to a unit that diminishes its combat efficiency. That's disruption. And when a unit takes disruption, it actually rolls a lower rated die, usually under certain systems that we use. It depends on the system that we're using. You do not have to worry about that. Don't worry about it. Don't even think about it right now because it's not as important to winning or playing the game. But just know that you will hear the term disruption, or you may see a disruption token on your unit. You might not. It just depends on the system that's being used. But if you see these things, that's just normally how it's played, and you can ask the umpire or whoever, hey, what does that mean? If there's something that you don't know what it means, you ask about it, okay? And they'll tell you, what that means. Okay, don't worry about it right now. Okay, you could also see a hit where they throw a hit, and if a unit is hit, it'll actually get smaller. Okay, and they'll put a disruption marker on the unit too because a hit also disrupts the unit. And again, all of that impacts the combat efficiency. So in your screenshot, you could see little symbols like this. Again, don't worry about that too much. You do need to know that your units are suffering casualties, that bad things are happening to your units, and if you are not doing the same to them that they are doing to you, you're going to have to consider doing something like retreating or rotating your units or getting reinforcements in on the flank or something else, right? But again, I don't want to get into discussions of tactics because that's not what this is about. This is really about how to play. So, the rule sets are very specific to different umpires who have their rule sets that they prefer to use. I will tell you this, even though you don't know the rules, and we don't tell you the rules because we don't want you to try to war game things out and say, well, we don't want you running around the map with the ruler and trying to resolve things with the ruler or say whatever it may be. Trying to suss out an advantage based on a small mathematical, whatever it may be, some measurement. We want you to concentrate on the problems of command, which specifically deal with how do I get to where I want to go? Okay, and that's this line here, right? I'm going to get here from here. When and where do I commit my troops to battle? That's this decision here. Where do I put my reserve, which might be these two units here, and when do I commit them? And then what's my plan for getting out of the battle, win, lose, or draw, right? The big decisions are what you as a commander should be focused on, not the little tiny minutia. The umpires handle the minutia. And again, this gets back to we don't really want you to go into the rules because you'll get lost and you won't come out of that slough. So avoid getting caught up in the rules. It's like a dark forest. You're just going to get lost like a little kid. Probably not the best idea right now. Right now, just concentrate on giving the right orders when you're in command of your units. Okay. I told you I would tell you about the grid. Let's talk about the grid. The grid square represents 400 paces. And it represents a measurement of distance that a unit would cover in about 15 to 20 minutes time in flat open terrain on a road while in column. In other words, that's just about the fastest that a unit is going to march when it's on a road. So here we're going to put these guys on a road. There's a little road here, you can hardly tell. But these guys, this here is a column. They're in column moving down the road. And so they're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 squares roughly per turn. And that's a 15 to 20 minute turn. Most of our turns are standard 15 to 20 minutes. In traditional classic Kriegsspiel, they're actually only 2 minutes long, which is why it's virtually unplayable. It takes forever. But we play with 15 to 20 minute increments, again, much like Army University does, and other people, because they realize that having those short duration turns means you have a game that takes all day to play 1 hour of real time, and nobody wants to play that. Okay, turn 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, it's eyeballed, right? This isn't something where we're going to take a string out or a ruler, even though we do have the ruler. We're not going to take the ruler out and sit here and say, okay, he moves this far like this. Okay, so that's 1 centimeter. Now he moves here another centimeter. And now that's 3 centimeters, and then 4, 5, 6. We're not going to do any of that. We don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. That's why we lay out the grid on the map, and then we just kind of eyeball it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom, that's pretty close. There will be turns where it works in your favor, and maybe you get a little bit extra movement. There will be turns that it works against you, and you get a little bit less, and it is what it is. Okay? Don't worry about it. That's just kind of how it works. It kind of more or less works out in the end. Now, if you end up in a situation where you are going uphill or the circumstances are poor, whatever it may be, then your movement will be reduced by the umpires. And they'll tell you or show you, hey, this is where we have moved. And that is that. There is a cardinal rule in Kriegsspiel: you cannot argue with the umpires ever. You may not like an umpire's decision. You cannot argue with them. You may ask a question or for a point of clarification, but the umpire's word is final. You cannot argue, question, or do anything to delay an umpire. You have to take their word for everything until after the game. After the game, of course, you can go at them, but during the game, you're not allowed to do any of that stuff, okay? All right. You'll notice that the units have flip sides. In most cases, units have multiple states. In this case, states track hits. They track the size of the unit, reductions from combat. Well, it looks like the 2 and the 3 are the same there. Here it won't be here. Here's a reduced state, and here's a maximum reduced state. You see that? It's half size. So you'll see that units have different states and so on. And again, that helps everybody keep track of what's happening on the map. Okay, so reports, what to expect. Your umpire will give you a report, and they may or may not give you a screenshot. And they may even give you a screenshot that's technically only 4 squares, which is standard in some systems, which is about this much screen space, more or less. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is all you're going to see. And okay, they might not give you a screenshot at all. They might just describe the action to you, or they could give you a big screenshot. Or they could say, here's the screenshot here, but guess what? In addition to the screenshot, I'm going to tell you that if you look in the direction of Dorfel here, you see there's another enemy column coming up this way, coming up the road this way, okay? So they might just tell you that. They won't show it to you on the screen, but they will tell it to you, and you need to put that on your map so that you don't forget and you know, hey, I need to account for this change in circumstances. This is what's happening. That may or may not happen. It usually happens. Different umpires, different systems, whatever, will handle the reporting to you differently. Okay? So just be aware that just because you get screenshots in one system of play from one umpire does not mean you will get screenshots from another. You can ask, you can say, may I get a screenshot or something? And they may or may not do that for you. Again, it just depends on a wide range of factors, and it's really up to the umpire what they choose to give you. If they don't choose to give it to you, just say, okay, roll with it, and do your best with what you place on your map. Usually there is a reason or a justification for why they are denying you that, or they are running the game in a certain way. If you have questions about that, ask the umpire prior to the game. Will I get screenshots in this game? Or are the reports given verbally? Or are they given written? Whatever it may be. That is reasonable to ask them. And if they say the reports will only be given in written fashion, or I will only accept written orders, and you are not comfortable playing in that system, just say, I'm not sure I want to play that way. I'm new, or whatever it may be, or I just don't prefer to play that way. And then it will be up to you and the umpire to negotiate and decide if they will accommodate you. And they usually will if they have the time and the means to do it, or they might not. And they might say, okay, I'm sorry, but that's how this game is going to proceed. And you can either continue to play or get out. But for the most part, most umpires are very generous, very friendly, very nice, and they will absolutely give you the screenshots and whatever it takes to ensure that you have a fun experience. All I'm saying is if you don't ask, the answer is always no, right? So, you might want to ask. Okay. Um, what to expect overall? Okay. Kriegsspiel is filled with ambiguity. There's a lot of subjectivity, and there is a lack of knowledge and a lack of control that you will have to contend with. We like to say you are in command, but you are not in control. And that's true. And that's what Kriegsspiel is about. Kriegsspiel really is about dealing with the ambiguous gray areas when it comes to command. You are not going to be told exactly how many troops you have. You are not going to be told exactly how many casualties you've suffered. You're not going to be told hardly anything with any degree of precision. There's a couple reasons for that. One is minutia, such as, well, exactly how many rounds is each man, equipped with or whatever. You might know that, but the thing is, minutia like that actually slows down games. It does not enhance enjoyment. In fact, it does not produce what I call a return on investment. You have what we call in economics diminished marginal utility, right? The more facts and minutia I give you concerning your units, the less value you receive back from the game. You might think that if I know down to a man how many guys are here, and I know exactly the range, in number of yards or meters of their muskets or rifles, and I know how many cartridges they carry, and I know the names of the officers and whatever that means, I might assume that's just going to give me the most amazing wargaming experience. And you'd be wrong, because we've tried it. I've tried it. We've tried it many times, getting complicated like that. And all it does is slow the game down and makes it so that the battle doesn't even have time to finish. Like you'll play half the battle and then, hey, the day's over. It's time to pack it in and go home. Sorry, guys. And that's just frustrating for everyone. So again, what we've done is we've distilled all of that stuff out so that you have the good stuff, right? We've taken out the tannins and the things that make the wine bitter, and we've kept the things that make it kind of sweet. Maybe you like dry wine, I get it, but we've made something that is a pretty sweet experience, and I think you'll enjoy it even without that minutia. Now, it is reasonable to say, should I not know how far something will fire? And that's quite reasonable, and you do need to know that. Should you not know how far a unit can march? And again, that's quite reasonable, and that's where the grid comes in. Okay? Generally speaking, for 20 minutes a time, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to get 4 grid squares of movement. Again, on road, in flat, open terrain, clear conditions, unit, and column. In 15 minutes, you'll move 3 squares. Okay? In any other conditions that deviate from that, you'll move less, maybe 2. If I'm moving in line formation, I might only move 1 square or 2 squares in 15 minutes maximum. These gray areas on the map are woods. I'm barely going to move 1 square in 15 minutes in line formation if I'm silly enough to move through the woods in line. Okay, so all of that changes. It's all adjustable or variable, if you will. And a lot of it is subjective, and you're going to have to be content with that. Now, I told you there's another reason why we don't give you all the specifics. The first reason was practical. We want to be able to play the game and finish it while having fun. On the other hand, the other reason why Kriegsspiel is ambiguous and subjective is you have to get used to those realities. Because when you command forces in the field in real life, you are never going to have accurate up-to-the-minute casualty reports or knowledge of the number of effectives. You might get a report at the beginning of the day saying, you have 500 effectives in your unit. That does not mean you're actually going to have 500 rifles actually pointed at the enemy, taking aim, shooting to kill. In fact, much less than that in real life, much less. And again, we can debate on that. There's all kinds of interesting historical data on that, by the way, too. We could debate on that for hours, but it's neither here nor there. The whole point of Kriegsspiel is to see how you are going to perform in a realm that is gray and ambiguous and foggy. In other words, and I said the word fog, Kriegsspiel emphasizes the fog of war, where you're out there and you're in command and you might not even be 100% certain what your mission is. You're just told go out there and find the enemy and fight or whatever it may be. You're not exactly 100% sure. You might have a superior commander who knows exactly what the mission is, but they might not be telling you. Whatever it may be. Again, these are the scenarios that Kriegsspiel is designed to test. It is designed to develop your skills in those circumstances. Again, don't be bothered by the ambiguity, because the ambiguity is a feature, not a bug, of Kriegsspiel. Okay? So, let's say now you have a problem, an objection, or a question. When your umpire pops into your server and asks or gives you a report, say, you know what, I have a question, and ask your question. The umpire may or may not answer your question, and they are under no obligation to say anything to you other than to deliver their report. So if you have a really terse or really busy or harried umpire or a really strict umpire, they might not say anything else to you. They might say, what are your orders? And then that's it. And if you don't give it, they'll like pop out of the room. I do that too. I'm kind of rude about it. I'll come in and I'll say, what are your orders? You give me your orders, and then I'll leave. And if you have this little pause, if I think I've got all your orders, I do this all the time, and I'm sorry in advance. But if I think I have your orders, I immediately go to the next room. And I've heard people say, oh, but also, and boom, I'm gone, like mid-sentence. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. But things do have to move along, and they have to move along in a matter of minutes. They have to move very quickly, because if the umpire does not keep the game moving, then the game gets really, really slow, and it gets really, really boring, and you're sitting here, whatever, okay? If you end up in a game like that, what I suggest you do is, hey, do a chore or something else. Keep track, keep your headphones on. Hopefully you have wireless headphones or something. Or if you're on your computer, do something else. That's fine. But also understand that, some games are going to slow down. Even fast-moving games, when enemies make first contact, that particular turn when first contact occurs is actually a very slow turn. And if you have multiple forces that are coming into first contact on different turns, it slows the whole game down, because when you make contact with the enemy, it changes your whole plan. You need a little more time to think, and then you're going to change all of your plans to give it to the umpire, and then the umpire has to very quickly implement your orders to the best of their ability. Okay, that can happen. The umpires can also make mistakes, and sometimes the umpire will correct a mistake if you point it out. Again, so if you have a problem or an objection or a question, you can raise it to the umpire, and the umpire may or may not sort their mistake. Like, they can literally make a mistake, both deliberately or inadvertently, and then they may or may not fix it. You have to live with it. I've had that happen where the umpire makes a mistake, and they're like, oh, well, what do you want to do anyway? And boy, is that rough. But again, remember, Kriegsspiel, you're in command, but you're not in control. And those mistakes like that represent those moments when you send a newly minted lieutenant down from point A to point B, and that lieutenant, for whatever reason known only to God himself, takes a wrong turn and ends up going to C. Oh no, now there's a hole in my line. What the heck? We could lose the whole battle. This is ridiculous. What happens when a subordinate goes full on Daniel Sickles? It says, hey, there's better defensive ground up there. I'm going to move off the line and leave a gap in the line so I have better defensive terrain, or I know better than my commander. What do? Those are Kriegsspiel problems that you are expected to solve. And how you respond to those situations is what determines how you score overall in the game and whether or not you actually win or lose. Winning and losing isn't really what happens on the map. It's not the final disposition on the map. Your side can get wiped off the map or surrender, but you can still technically, as a player, win the Kriegsspiel if you've demonstrated the right attitude and you've made the right decisions. Okay, so that's important to make a note of. Okay. I'm about to get into the last part, which has to do with post-battle critiques. But before I do that, I do want to mention that you can sometimes, and in fact you often will be able to speak to other commanders. Other commanders will speak to you if they are usually up to 2 squares away is the standard. 800 paces is the Kriegsspiel standard. Some umpires might want you to be closer, but if you are next to another commander, your 2 avatars are together, the umpires will move both players into the same room and you can speak in real time the same way I'm talking to you. And that's nice. Now, if you are farther apart than that, then you send a dispatch. And you do that when you're done giving your orders for the turn. So you've got your report from the umpire, right? You've given your orders how you want to react to that report. Then you type up your dispatch and you say, hey, it's Marshall. I'm next to Braunhof. The time is 6:45 a.m. I have sighted the enemy at Dinkenhof and I need reinforcements on my right. Can you help me? Enter. I put that in that text area on Discord. And what will happen is the umpire will come. They will see that I sent that message. They will copy and paste it to, in this case, the 6th Division commander when the next turn cycle goes into progress. Okay, when it starts. There's a certain time in the cadence when the umpires move all the mail, all the message traffic. And they will do that when it is time to do it. And it will take, in this case, 1 turn to arrive. If I am farther away, it might take 2 turns, or 3 turns, or 4 turns, or 5 turns even to get there, depending on how far away I am from the intended recipient. And again, that's up to the judge's discretion if and when to deliver that message. The message might not even arrive. And in rare cases, messages can even get intercepted, but that's generally not done. Okay? All right, so let's talk about, and I'm sure there's stuff that I've left off, by the way, and if there is, add a comment or a question or something. I'll make a follow-up video if need be, and we'll go into it then, okay? Post-battle critique. Typically, at the end of a game, the umpire will give a critique for each of the players. They may also allow the side commanders, and then they'll go round robin style through all the players and let all the players speak and give a briefing or their take on the battle. And that can last up to an hour or so. Or they might not. They might not. It depends. I know when I ran the Grand Gettysburg battle and we had 48 people, we were not going to let 48 people take turns with the microphone. We'd be here for 8 hours. So I spoke, the other umpires spoke, and then the commanders on both sides spoke, and then that was it. So what will happen, though, is you should, in general, get a critique from your umpire. Well, they will tell you, you did this well, this is where you can improve. And again, that's because Kriegsspiel is supposed to be a learning exercise. Okay? So when you hear your critique, think about it. You might disagree with your umpire, sometimes vehemently, and that does happen. There have been cases where I've given a critique and the player's like, no, you got me all wrong, man. What the heck? Happens, okay, sometimes. But remember, this has also happened in real life. In real life, you have people who think they made sound decisions, but history says otherwise. Vice versa, whatever it may be. So there you have it. So that covers the basics of how to join the International Kriegsspiel Society, how to find a game, how to get involved in a game, and what to do and what you need to know. Other little things like, again, to do with the squares. Generally, units will shoot 1 or 2 squares maximum. Rifles, 2. Usually, though, only 1 square. Artillery will shoot usually 2 squares. But they can actually theoretically shoot like up to 6 depending on if they're rifled guns and what kind of shot they're firing and so on. And again, that's scenario specific, okay? You'll notice there are little symbols on here. Here we have a purple symbol. Here we have a black symbol. Here we have a red symbol with 3 stars. We have a disrupted symbol with 1 star. All of those things have meaning. You don't have to worry about that. That is module specific and scenario or system specific. Here, for example, you have units. There are no other colors and there are no stars on these units. There's just an arrow to show that, hey, this unit's marching this way down the road. But there is no other symbol. This is for hidden unit quality. We don't tell you what the quality of the unit is. In this system, the colors on the pieces do indicate unit quality. So here you have elite, here you have regular, here you have veteran or whatever. This is actually veteran. Regular would be 1 star. So there you have it, okay? The different sizes of the pieces and the design on them also indicate what you're dealing with. So like right here, we have heavy cavalry, the 2 lines, heavy cavalry, okay? Light cavalry here with the 1 line. And then over here you have trained infantry, veteran infantry. This is militia or raw recruits. You have elite infantry and you have guard infantry. And so you have all of these designations, right? And you may or may not see that. But again, don't worry about all the particulars of that right now. That's not what you have to worry about as a player. Think about what commands do I give? How do I manage these pieces in battle? And kind of go from there. If you have questions, ask your fellow players. Ask whoever your side commander may be. Ask the umpire. We will try to get your questions answered as best we can. Just understand in the course of a game that's not always possible to sit there and have a full-on discussion or debate with you. You can also ask questions and you can argue over rules until your heart's content in the Discord when the game is over. Okay? So that should kind of give you the long and the short of it. I hope this video has been helpful and has answered some of your basic questions about Kriegsspiel. If you have additional questions, please post them either in the comments here or in the Discord or wherever you want, and we will do our best to answer those in the future. All right.